Hello there, Internet. My name is Mogwai, and ahead of us lies yet another brilliant day in the arena. As today, we're going to be showcasing yet another very spicy deck. A deck that I took it upon myself as a challenge to actually make this, because the first thing that happened when I hovered over HYLDA of the Icy Crown on my stream, somebody was like, Miguel, that's a limited card. That card is not intended to be played in Standard. Stop doing what you're doing. And that just made me want to go after that much harder, because I'm like, what do you mean limited card? Like, you're saying that some mythic rares are doomed to not see any play whatsoever in Standard? That's bullshit. I'm gonna prove that wrong. And here we have a HYLDA of the Icy Crown deck that plays one HYLDA. Okay, it plays one HYLDA. It started with 3. We ended up dropping her to 1. That doesn't mean that she just doesn't belong here. Aclazotz is a one-off in Golgari midrange decks, so, you know, I rest my case. HYLDA is actually really good here, but the reason why we don't have her more as a one-off is because HYLDA is there for specific board states. Basically, HYLDA is there to kind of like allow us to break through a stalemate in a mid-range matchup, which this deck can find itself a little bit in, because we're a very board-centric Azorius deck. So there's a lot of going on here. Like, this deck tech may take a little bit long, because I'm very proud of this deck. I've put a lot of time into this, and this deck, I think, yeah, I think this is a good example of what I have to offer for Magic the Gathering Standard as a content creator. This is, you know, this is definitely something, a build that I'm particularly proud of, and I'm going to dive into it. So, HYLDA of the Icy Crown is a 4-mana Azorius, aka white and blue, legendary human warlock creature with a 3/4 stat line that says, whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, you may pay 1 mana, colorless. When you do, you get to choose one of these 3 effects. You either create a 4/4 white and blue elemental creature token, as you see right there, or you can put a +1/+1 counter on every creature you control, or you can scry 2 and then draw a card. All these are very neat, and the value potential from this card is definitely there, but it's also expensive because she costs 4 mana, so being able to develop HYLDA and also trigger her ability on the very same turn is unlikely. So you're not generally going to be playing HYLDA on curve. You're going to be trying to build up the board. You're going to prioritize your other plays, and then when you have enough mana, you can develop HYLDA, and you can really make sure you break through that stalemate. That's what she's there for. HYLDA is not really necessary in matchups that are not very creature based, so against control decks she kind of doesn't really do that much, and against very fast-paced aggressive decks she's a little bit too slow, but against mid-range is where she really shines, and that's why she's a one-off here. We also got her crown. HYLDA's Crown of Winter is a one-off, a legendary artifact that allows us to tap target creature, this ability costing 1 less to activate if we're using it on our own turn, and then we can sack it to draw a card for each tap creature opponent control. Very neat design, and very useful as a one-off, but not a card that we want to be drawing multiple copies of either. As you see, for the first 2 cards that we explained here, you get the idea of what this deck is about. This deck is about tapping the opponent's creatures and getting benefits out of it. And what I really like about this deck in Best of 1 Standard Magic is that mono red aggro is one of the more popular decks you're going to be running into. And this deck matches up into it really well, because mono red is very dependent on connecting key attacks. But this deck is capable of tapping their creatures before they get to attack very easily. And while I mentioned HYLDA of the Icy Crown and HYLDA's Crown of Winter, the card that this deck really is built around, the card that enables this deck to be viable and potentially really strong, and a card that has really grown on me the more I play it, and I still misplay with it, is the Lost in the Maze. It's an enchantment from one of the most latest expansions with Flash, which means we can play it at instant speed. And when it enters the battlefield, we get to tap X target creatures. X equals the amount of mana that we pay for that specific portion of the cost. Put a stun counter on each of those creatures. So a stun counter, as you see there, if a permanent with a stun counter would be untapped, you remove the stun counter instead. So we get to tap these creatures, and we also get to deny a turn from them untapping, right? And then the last phrase of this card is what really gets this deck, like, man, it's really cool. Tap creatures you control have hexproof. what we have here is a deck that, like I said, focuses on tapping the opponent's creatures to halt aggression, right? Potentially even stun them, but also a deck that is utilizing low-cost flyers alongside the likes of the high-speed hover bike to essentially slowly but surely punch damage in the opponent and float over their threats. And what I really like about this is the crew mechanic works really well with Lost in Maze, and I'm going to explain this really simply. So we have high-speed hover bike, but we also have the spring-loaded saw blades, which can be crafted into a blade wheel chariot. We do this a lot with this deck, in case you're wondering. Having a full set of the network disruptor, which also happens to be an artifact creature, so it's also an artifact, allows us to just exile this in order to craft this. And having these vehicles with Lost in Maze allows us to dodge removal and any sort of spell or ability targeting our key creatures, because we can use them to crew these vehicles, and as we crew them, we tap them. And by tapping them with Lost in the Maze on the board, we give them hexproof. This deck is definitely one of the hardest decks for me to pilot as a returning player. I'm very proud of the brew, but I still don't feel like I pilot it to 100%. You guys gotta be patient with me in that regard. It hasn't even been like a month since I got back into Magic after 5 years, and there are so many. I think my biggest flaw as a player right now is that I don't know exactly what to play against in a lot of matchups. Like, I still haven't learned all the cards. And there are more complex archetypes like these that require very specific, very flawless piloting, and I still feel like I make mistakes then and there. But I do think my level is good enough to pilot this deck and be successful with it, and I'm really, really excited to share. So, yeah, I went on a tangent there, but basically, we use these crews, these vehicles, to tap with Lost in the Mage, give our creatures hexproof, and high-speed hover bike allows us to tap a creature at instant speed with the flash, which is really important. While we have stuff like spring-loaded saw blades, we will deal 5 damage to target tapped creature an opponent controls, and we have stuff like runic shot. For just 1 mana, we can destroy target tapped creature. We can pay an extra blue mana to also scry 2, which is a neat option. As then we have a one-off of Get Lost. I like this as a one-off because sometimes there's like this very key enchantment or this really large creature that I just have no way of dealing with. Get Lost gives me that removal, or a Planeswalker, for example. Like, I like it as a one-off. Mischievous Catgeist is the reason for the deck's title. It's there for the control matchup, right? Because when you design a deck that taps the opposing creatures, you end up with a solid list that is able to, like I said, halt aggression and try to dominate the board through these mechanics, right? And halting the opponent down, freezing them, right? But what happens when we run into decks that don't really develop many creatures? What happens when we run into decks that are more reactive, they're more control-y, they resort to planeswalkers, or they just don't really develop onto the board and counterspell instead, yada yada. You know, there are different playstyles in Magic the Gathering, and tapping creatures running into these decks can be problematic. That's why I want to design the early curve of the deck to be able to capitalize on these matchups. And the way we do so is with cheap flyers in conjunction with combat research. Combat research is an enchantment aura that we can cast onto one of our cheap flyers, and we make it so that every time this flyer connects onto the opponent, we draw a card. So we combining this with 3 copies of Mischievous Catgeist, which whenever it deals damage to a player, we draw a card. We have these early game units that can go under our opponent's early plays, as a lot of these decks play tap lands early, and we can start pushing damage and drawing through our deck, and we don't need to resort to counter spells because we can utilize Lost in Mage. There are situations where we can play Lost in Mage for just 2 blue mana, just because it will give hexproof to our tapped blue attacker and protect them from removal, so we can continue to keep on pushing damage and drawing cards and just drown them in card advantage. As then, when it comes to the latter portion of our curve, we have the Wandering Emperor and we have Sheree alongside Hilda. Sheree is really good because basically every time we get to tap a creature, we draw a card and we have to pay any mana for it. So while she's less in total of stats and is vulnerable to stuff like Cut Down, she's overall extremely reliable. Upon entry, we're going to be able to stun, not only tap something, but stun it and halt it. and that she can really make sure that this deck has a lot of card draw going on for it, which is important because a lot of our spells or a lot of our effects are not netting us card advantage immediately, right? So we got to be able to keep on going. Wandering Emperor fits this strategy super well because of her -2. We get to exile target tapped creature. That's pretty amazing. This card can also become a win condition on its own. That's kind of like what Azorius does, really. They play Wandering Emperor until they win. And we can definitely use this here in this deck. And then we have Ezrim, the Agency Chief. This is a 2-of in the deck because we want to have a late game threat that can just essentially win the game, right? Like that can push enough damage. Hilda can contribute towards that, but she's more matchup dependent, while Ezrim isn't. Ezrim comes in as a 5/5 flyer. I can sacrifice for 1 mana and any artifact, and then I can give him Hexproof, Vigilance, or Lifelink. We generate 2 clues upon entry with Ezrim as he investigates twice, but then we have other means. We can destroy some of our Harva bikes that we're not really finding use for anymore. We can sack stuff like Network Disruptor. We can even sack Hilda's Crown of Winter in a pinch, but also very important to note is we can start generating maps with the Restless Anchorage land and use them to sack or as fodder for our Ezrim. And thus we have a very resilient card that in conjunction with Lost and Maze can be very difficult for the opponent to remove, and therefore we can utilize it to slowly but surely beat the opponent down to a pulp. And that's the deck list right there. Like, we have a lot of burst. Like, the fact that we're running 3 copies of the Saw Blades, when we craft this, we have a Chariot that is a 5/5, but it only requires 1 power to be crewed. And we can use these tools to not only like dodge, you know, spells and abilities directed towards our creatures, but also to just keep pushing damage, keep going at the opponent, and eventually taking them down. And it's just such a cool, I'm sorry, this is just a dope ass deck. I think this deck is I'm biased, but I'm very proud of it. Okay, like I think it's really fucking dope. It's unique, it's original, and it just offers a lot, and it's a very, very rewarding deck to play. It's hard to pilot though. Definitely do not recommend this for beginners by any means, as you'll probably be seeing me misplay. Hopefully not too much in today's video, but man, the matches are pretty damn solid. And I had a great time. I'm going to stop talking. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for daily Magic the Gathering Arena content. Hope you enjoy today's games. Hope you're enjoying the deck, you know, diversity, as I'm only getting started, man. This week's decks are spicy as hell, and it seems like they just keep getting spicier and spicier. You'll see what I'm talking about. As tomorrow, we're going to bring up a little bit of fungus action. And yeah, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the games. Have a solid day. Leave a like. It's free. Why the fuck not? And I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, here we go. Let's tap that cat to victory. Whizball looking pretty edgy. I wonder who that is. I don't recognize the Planeswalker. But we go first. We only have a 2-lander here, but we have Mischievous Catgeist. We got some high-speed hoverbikes to back him up with, so I like that quite a bit. Removal. It's a pretty complete hand. Ideally, we face a slower deck that's not able to deal with this. I said ideally. We're gonna go Mischievous Catgeist right off the bat. We see Concealed Courtyard, so far ORZHOV could be Mardu. Could be like a token-centric deck. Tapped land. And now is when we're gonna take advantage. We're going to take advantage of the hover bike. We're going to play this proactively, tap you, and that way our cat can just get cheeky and do cheeky things. Because that's how cats be. And that's the synergy right here, like with the Mischievous Catgeist, being able to tap our opponent's blockers and play for value. Braids, Arisen Nightmare. They sack that. For each opponent who doesn't, they draw a card. I think I'm more content with sacking this and preventing them from drawing a card, to be honest. Because I can deal with this. I can deal with this nuisance for perhaps 1 turn, though, because I can definitely just Network Disruptor into Harrier Strix, into Combat Research, which will allow me to draw twice, As we find a land. Beautiful. Interesting. What happened if I block with these two? And one of them goes down. They could deal with both by pinging there and there. I'm gonna take the hit. The block would be good, but if they have any sorts of removal, then they're gonna be able to clear my 2 units with just 1 card. A 2-for-1 right there. They sack a land. I'm not sacking a land. You can draw a card if you want. I'm gonna decline. D-ramp all you want, buddy, but I want no part in it. I think now's a good time to play you, but let's swing first. And now we're gonna go proactively with the Wandering Emperor. I'm gonna take a little bit of damage, but it's fine. You can take it.
I hope you're ready to lose.
Yeah, get out of here. You see how he sliced that shit? They sacked the land. There is a price to pay for that. This has flashback, but they have nothing on the unit to use it with, so they can't use it this turn because they decided to sack a land for card draw. Okay. I think it's time for a charade. I think it's time for a charade. To come in here. Tap the Guardian of Girapur. Lock it, stun it. And we're going to be going for this. Onto you. Get you a +2/+2 counter.
Remember your training.
I remember my training. And we're going to swing. Now Charade is on the board. Whenever we tap a creature an opponent controls, we draw a card. They can use the Rite of Oblivion. Them being forced to use the flashback of that to deal with the Wandering Emperor is amazing. It really limits... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This could be the game for HYLDA here. I do want a full swing here. And I want to play HYLDA so bad. That's what I'm going to do. Full swing. Put them on the clock. HYLDA of the Icy Crown. They're gonna smash that clue. Desperation. I smell it. I sense it. Don't kill her. Just let her. For the YouTube video. For the YouTube video, please, Wizball. Just let her be. God, if I can untap with this, I can show HYLDA on game 1 of the video. Please. Oh, no, they're hovering. Oh, no. Oh, I know what they're doing. What an asshole. That counts. I'm just going to say that freaking counts. I'm going to go with the hover bike. Our sources of blue... No, this is fine. Hover bike incoming. Going to tap you. We're going to draw a card. And now... we're going to full swing. Putting them on the clock there. Tempoing them down. They could have something like a board wipe. We got to keep that in mind. But I do want to play Mischievous Catgeist and keep the 2 mana open for both of these. I could play this, to be honest. But I don't want to overcommit my removal because they could just wipe the entire board away. They're under a lot of pressure. We got the hover bike right here to push for damage as well. Oh, they're going to be going for... Okay. Liliana. What are you going to do with Liliana? I'm not vulnerable. I am not vulnerable to Liliana at all.
Haven't you ever heard of personal space?
Yeah, don't care too much about it. What if I tell you to get lost? Go on a trip and never come back. Ah, the desperation. You don't heal and scry? Are you out of your mind? Okay, so you block into you, 3/2T. Okay, so how do you stop Landbird? You don't. And Domarin. We have a decent enough hand. We're lacking a second source of blue, but for now, we're going to lead off with the Meticulous Archive here. We have the Harrier Strix, which is nice. But I don't think it's what we need right now. We already have a 1-drop here that we can use later. We want to find some source of land. I'm going to drop you, and I'm going to play the Mischievous Catgeist. Hope that they don't have removal for it immediately. Okay. I'm gonna do this in response, and the reason behind this is because now I can play the Mischievous Catgeist. And every time I connect, I draw a card. And we get the Runic Shot, which allows us to knock that out, in case they want to bounce it or something. So that's why I went with that line of play. I tried to navigate around that. Okay. Still gonna connect. Still gonna use my life as a resource and draw cards. Though, to be fair, I may want to wait one turn before playing Ezreal for the sake of removal and utilize the Lost in Maze right now, because the Lost in Maze can allow me to also protect my Network Destructor from removal.
I like a good fight. Notice I didn't say fair.
And now, before they go for the attackers, I'm going to go for Lost in Maze. I'm going to actually select X2. And I'm going to tap you and you. With the stun. We draw. Again, I'm taking this damage. It's fine. I'm going to develop this planes. And now I can develop you. And now I get to play Ezreal. Ezreal with backup. These two are stunned. But having Ezreal with 1 mana open allows me to give him hexproof by sacking one of the clues. I trigger Ezreal, I sack one of these. Hexproof.
I have identified the suspects. I know just what to do.
We sack you. develop an island here. I have to get rid of Kaya. But I have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. 7 mana. I need to tap you. So 3 mana there, 2 mana there. I can tap both, actually. So I'm going to tap you, you, and you. Then I have 2 mana open for that and 1 mana for this. Okay. Now I should have... Should be able to knock that out. Scry 2. Tap that. I'm gonna craft with an artifact. I'm gonna make this. I'm just really thinking here. God damn it, let me think, man. Fuck off. I need to think here. I don't care if I'm running down the timer. I don't care. Do I sack this and go for the hit? It's a big swing for us. But I feel like I need to make use of my tools a little bit better. I'm gonna keep you in the back, actually.
I'll see this through till the end.
So I can... So now they can bring this back to bounce back the tithing blade, but because we have the protection here, as this come back, we're actually going to sacrifice the hover bike. And we're called at a turn. We're using the Lost in the Maze there to utilize Hexproof to give us... Oh my goodness, that's a great draw. That is a great draw. Okay. I just cannot screw this over. Sheree. Tap you. Draw. Alright. Kill that and that. Have you in the back. Let's play this smart. I mean, we need to start pushing some damage. But tapping my shit isn't the way to go, so... I'm gonna attack with you. Giving myself hexproof. I'm gonna develop the Restless Anchorage here. And I'm gonna call that a turn. I'm gonna craft this. I could sack this to draw, but I think having that clue enabled is really important. Let's see what they sack. Okay. Restless Anchorage. And we need to generate these maps. We need to continue generating these maps. There's this dude again. Mistake. Mistake is I got a blocker in the back, baby. Declare your attacks. I'm gonna crew the chariot! Impatience is getting to you. And I just got rid of one of your lands. I'm gonna sacrifice that. Booyah! They cried uncle! Oh! Oh my god! Oh, that game was so intense. How long was that? Oh my Deus. Nargrim. You're not gonna give me another hustle like that, are you? Let's hope this game is a little bit easier. As we got the Harrier Strix, we got the High Speed Hoverwreck, and we got Charade. I don't want to play Harrier Strix early. I actually, having Charade, I want to preserve a little bit of this value. We do have a hover bike here. Add 1 mana of any color, can allow them to ramp. I do want to play the hover bike here. I really want to hold on to you. I think slowing them down is important. I'm gonna go for a Get Lost. Before they untap, so they can't protect it with some green spells, and they are compelled to develop, to capitalize on these maps, right? Because I want them to continue developing, but I don't want them to develop ahead of curve. It's important for them to play a unit for us here. It's good. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands from the top of your library, and then Coven. As long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Okay. This card snowballs quite a bit, but this is exactly what we want. We want to play Charade. Tap you. Start drawing. Now, I am gonna recruit you to push some damage. They could have a haste unit, but I don't intend on blocking with Charade anyways. The Ordinary Tumblewag. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. When Ordinary attacks while saddled, double the number of on-target creatures. Okay, so definitely have to start tapping stuff. I think Carrier Strix is pretty good here. We use this to tap you. That allows us to draw a card, which is really nice. I'm gonna develop the spring-loaded saw blades to get rid of you, because you are a threat. And then I also want to develop the network disruptor, just so that I have another unit on the board. And then I'm going to crew you and push for 4 damage, because we do gotta work to end this game. But I do want to create I do want to preserve the network disruptor in hand here. We could craft with artifact here. They're going to be developing the Stomper. Get another land in there. Tyrannix Rex. Are they going to get rid of that? They are. They don't seem to have a land, though. They swing. Good call on their part. We're not going to block, because they know we're probably going to have a way to tap that. So they're getting some damage through. Good draw right there. Good draw right there. I'm going to lead off with you. Tap you, so we get to draw with Charade. And then we're going to go for the combat research. We're going to apply that onto Charade, actually, because it gives her +1/+1 in ward. We can't be too susceptible to, like, an attack here. We can't leave ourselves super wide open. So I am going to crew you, because I do want to strike with you. And I guess leaving just... There's 5 cards. I think leaving like a couple of blockers in the past. And I mean... Dropping them down to 9. Dropping them down to 8. We should be fine. You, and you. We draw. We do this. And then... we're going to sacrifice her, and we're going to create the Blade Wield Chariot. With the Blade Wield Chariot, we can crew it. Okay, when Ochre Chasm deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. Okay, when it dies, alright. That thing comes in, but that thing cannot attack. Oh no, mistake. People just don't respect this card. People just don't even read it. I'm gonna use this to crew. And I'm gonna chariot this up. I'm gonna capitalize on their big mistake. Just not reading the chariot, not respecting it. What a draw, ladies and gentlemen. That is a clean W as we tap you. I don't have to kill you. I just gotta tap you, bro. I just gotta tap you, bro. Crew this. Crew this. Full swing. GG no re. Oof. Oof. That was nice. Skeleton Jack. Are you playing mono black skeletons, Skeleton Jack? Be honest with me. I'm gonna keep... It's a 4-lander. Could go wrong in many ways, but they are. It's a pretty decent hand against like an aggressive deck. And I figured, you know, it was kind of sus, like what they were saying there. Okay, they're gonna pass to attackers. I'm gonna hover bike. Slow that down. You gotta chill, bro. Unfortunately, we're drawing a lot, and I mean a lot, of lands, which is concerning. I'm gonna play the spring-loaded Saw Blades. Maybe I could preserve this for later, but it's also like a really great play that I can go for. We're gonna reduce their damage, try to slow them down. They don't do anything here. We have... I could get rid of the high-speed hover bike to just make this. And quite frankly, I do like that. I'm gonna exile this hover bike. And I'm gonna make the chariot, the blade wheel chariot. Now I have that there. Since I'm not being like super pressured here. Now things are changing. Now it's a big swing, but now is when Lost in the Maze really comes into play. I would like to stop drawing lands if possible, though. It would be nice. If I cannot, like... Lost in the Maze. You, and you. Now, can I... Okay. I want to surprise them with the Wandering Emperor.
And I will protect my people. Keep watch for intruders.
As they cut down, we crew. And by crewing, we trigger the Lost in Maze. And we are able... That was pretty sick. I still think we're close to losing here. But that was sick nonetheless. I can trigger this to get rid of one of you. I just don't know how we survive here, because I can get rid of one of you, I can play you. I mean, I have to get rid of the Emperor if that's the case. Destroy target non-artifact creature. So that does there. We go to 6. We go boom, boom.
Until next time, game. This is what you get for hurting my people.
Ah, such slick moves, man. Such slick moves, but unfortunately, just we drew too many lands. We kept the 4-lander. I mean, they can trigger, like, we have answers. Like, we can tap this, crew this, but they have 8 damage. GG. Damn, man. We flooded a little bit too much. That's the problem. We flooded a little bit too much, and it was a close game though. But the combat potential was so there. But I really have to be careful with keeping hands with like 4 lands though. All right, Shaq Fu. You'll be my final boss. And while we just had a match where we just got absolutely flooded, I'm worried about the opposite happening with this opening hand. But I'm going to keep it. My curve is low, and I think I'm more vulnerable to mana flood than to mana screw with this deck. I'm going to keep a 2-lander. I have no source of blue. I don't care. I'm going to keep it. Never punished. I do want to play the Network Disruptor, because I do have a combat research here. Tough Cookie. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. And you get, okay. We're gonna go with the Adakar Waste. Well, first of all, we're gonna go with you. We can start drawing. That's much better. We'll call that a turn. We have the high-speed hover bike. They can convert the food into... I love the Tough Cookie. Like, I love the art, everything about this card. Okay. And now before they attack, we hover bike. And we say no. Beautiful. We swing again. I like that loss in Maze. We could get countered though. Maybe there was an argument for playing this now. But they're going to play the Subterranean Schooner. This is a fun matchup here. SIMIC artifacts. That's why Standard is so great, man. There's just so much stuff going on. Okay. Let's think about this. You don't have the mana to tap you. This can be crude, but it has This is the perfect time to play this. I'm just thinking about what to target. Because I'm going to go Lost in Maze. Lost in Maze with the flash will give my tapped creatures hexproof, which is really important. I'm going to definitely tap you, and then it's like, okay, this thing is a flying blocker that's stopping me from tapping that, and it forces me to deal with it. So I'm actually going to tap you as well. Nullify the blocker. Nullify the flying blocker. We get hit by the Tough Cookie, because he's a fucking Tough Cookie, man. But we can take it. Now we have the Wandering Emperor, and the Wandering Emperor feels pretty safe here. They could always recruit, though. So we can go with the Disruptor as well. You, okay. I'm gonna swing. First. Draw. That value. That combat research value, baby. And I think we have to Wandering Emperor. And with Wandering Emperor, we want to start dealing with the Tough Cookie. Let's tap that. Gonna play a Plains. Wandering Emperor.
I'm home.
Tough Cookie, no more. Sliced in two.
Much of a roadblock.
The Seething Wormlet, okay. And the Sentinel of the Nameless City. All right. Do we let this Emperor go down? I think we do. Like, we're gonna get a +1. I mean, we force them to attack into it a lot. It's like a lot of units going on here. Maybe I should have developed a blocker instead of banishing the tough cookie. Network Disruptor can provide me more blocks later. I'm gonna let that happen.
I guess that's it then.
HYLDA. HYLDA, you magnificent beast. Okay. Let's swing with you. Don't know why they're, Very nice. Adakar weighs HYLDA of the Icy Crown. For a thumbnail! While still having Get Lost enabled. I don't know, like, what am I missing here? What interaction am I missing here? Okay, so they could explore there. I could deal with that, but to be fair, the Seething Moorlet is more problematic, right? I mean, perhaps the Flyer is the most problematic one. They tap with this, which allows us to, like, we can trade more efficiently here. I think, we definitely want to be targeting this. So there's 5, 8, okay, 9, 10, 13 damage incoming. I can tap you and I can block with HYLDA into that, just take 9 damage, but also, like, pass the blockers, get rid of you, block into you, having HYLDA survive. They have like no mana, so big hit, but at the same time, we live. Oh my god, this Lost in Maze is a godsend. A literal godsend. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Attackers. I could have played the combat research now. I fucking derped. I derped. It's whatever, like, keeping the mana open is important. I don't know what they're holding on to. Like, they don't have, like... Like, they don't have any mana. Gonna swing with the Network Disruptor, float over them, draw a card. This deck is tricky, but it's just so fun when it goes off, man. It's just amazing. Okay, okay. We call that a turn. Watch this counter to the hard-hitting question. They kept this. This allows them to target a creature they control and smack me. You may spend mana as though we're earning mana to creatures you control with +1/+1 card. Have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Agathos. Exile target card from a graveyard. All activated abilities. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Here comes the hard-hitting question, and we're gonna have a sick counter to this. Watch. It's all about the Lost in Maze, baby. There we go. See? Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to crew HYLDA. And by crewing HYLDA, I give her hexproof. And now before the attackers. You're welcome. Oh, thank you. English. Okay, so when they do that, we're going to respond with Lost in Maze. X equals 3. Lost in Maze, baby. Boom, boom, boom. All 3 to the maze. Get lost. They're gonna crew with that. It's fine. And I get to trigger this twice. Ain't that beautiful? Hilda twice. Auto pay. Auto pay. Oh yeah. We created an elemental. Okay. They get an island and they swing for free. I can't block it. But we're still healthy enough. Hilda putting in the work here. Hilda, this is the moment. This is the once in a full moon game in which Hilda is actually essential. Another subterranean scooter there. They get rid of that. My turn, baby. My turn. Now we cannot make any mistakes whatsoever here. They need something to crew. We have the spring-loaded saw blades, but we're gonna go with this. Onto you. Maybe I should have gone into Hilda, honestly. But it's fine. We're gonna go ahead and attack. We're gonna keep you in the back. And we're gonna attack with you, you, and you. Smack him. Draw twice. Okay. Anchorage. Double saw blades. The stun. They find the unit, they're gonna recruit that. That's a threat. Land. Oof, this is... If I can't kill this, I die. If I can't kill this, I die. I'm really nervous here. Double saw blades. Cut that shit down. Cut that shit down. Let's go. Let's go. I got a Hilda game. Finally. Isn't she amazing? I mean, she was pretty good here. Just gonna leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Have a solid day. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys tomorrow.